What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for March 24th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition. The sun is out. The water is drying up. Hopefully, you're out doing something. I'll be going out for a walk as soon as everything from the podcast is up. But as always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. And I asked you, other than center field, what is the biggest question mark for the Phillies going into the season? 50% of you said it was the bullpen. 33% of you said it was the fourth and fifth starter, Taijuan Walker and Christopher Sanchez. 17% said it was Bryce's health. As always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. The Back to the Future text line gets you in 267-495-8531. Let me know your thoughts. And I feel as though the 4 or 5 starter, in light of what the news was yesterday, which we'll get into in a minute, might be more of the bigger question now. But as always, we will have another question of the day later in the show. Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. All right, so speaking of those fills, Spencer Turnbull got the start, even though it was supposed to be Connor Brogdon, sort of like a last-minute change. And then it did come out that Taijuan Walker had some shoulder soreness, might be starting the year on the injured list. So if he does, it looks like Turnbull will take that spot in the rotation. He pitched pretty well, 3 innings, 3 hits, had 5 Ks. But hopefully, if that can continue, luckily they did pick him up, so he's able to sort of slide in there with starting experience. But hopefully Walker's not hurt too long or it's nothing serious. Does look like Irene Guest is also going to start on the injured list. Not so much because he's injured, just he's behind where he needed to be because he got really hit hard with that flu. But on the field, Johan Rojas went 1 for 3, scored 2 runs, and had an RBI. Jake Cave went 1 for 4. Christian Pache went 3 for 4, 2 runs. And man, those guys all three are starting to step up. But I did say yesterday, I wanted to see what Rojas did yesterday. I think I'm comfortable enough now to say he should be the starting center fielder. And that likely means that Pache could be expendable. I don't know if they're going to try to trade him for something. But he likely will not clear waivers if they do, and he's out of assignments. So it's still a couple days to make that decision, but it does appear, at least from my perspective here, that Rojas will be our starting center fielder. Bryce hit a ball hard yesterday, sacrifice fly in the first inning. So it seems as though things are starting to kind of clear up. The starting pitching and things like that were kind of hopefully the Walker thing is nothing major. And if it turns out to be, hopefully Spencer Turnbull can come in and be that guy. But overall, I was pleased with the lineup. And it does, like I said, look like Rojas will be our starting center fielder. And I'm okay with it. I think he's starting to get it. And those guys are around it. And Kevin Long said he likes where he's at. He's just not getting the ball necessarily. He's hitting it hard, but just at people and his mechanics. He said it should start clicking. So with all that, looks like, and again, hopefully they'll play more today, but I think he's kind of probably right there where they want him to be. So Johan Rojas, likely our center fielder, but who knows? That's just me purely speculating. All right, Flyers with a big win yesterday, 3-2 with a late goal over the Bruins. This is a huge win from many levels. Obviously, they got the 2 points, but just beating the Bruins, who obviously have not been playing well right now, but still, that's a good win. Very good win for them. Tyson Forster had the goal late, and just they matched the intensity. They battled back and forth. It was a fun game. Had basketball on one TV, but the bar we were at had the Flyers on, so I was able to watch both. Good win. No time to rest, though. They are back at it tonight against Florida. Another tough game. They currently are 4 points up on the Capitals for that third spot in the Metro Division. All right, Sixers in action with our old pal James Harden this afternoon against the Clippers. No Kyle Lowry. I think that's a 3:30 Eastern game, if I'm not mistaken. Sixers are currently tied with the Heat, but due to the tiebreakers, have the 8 seed. They are only a game and a half out of 6th, 3.5 out of 5th, and 4.5 out of 9th. So it looks like they're going to fit into that 5 to 8 range, which leads possibly the 9th, I guess. But that's like further down. And with 12 games left, it's going to take a monumental collapse for them to get down there. So it does look like they're going to be right around the 5 to the 8 seed. So that's the question of the day today. What seed do you think the Sixers are going to get? Is it going to be the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th? And does it really matter? Just add a little bonus on there. But call the Back to the Future text and voice line, 267-495-8531. Let me know your thoughts on the Sixers playoff seed, as well as if you think it even matters. I don't know. The sooner, like I said, we get an update on like a definitive date for Joe, then I can kind of start mentally seeing where we want to go. But they're in action against the Clippers. 0-2 so far. This, I don't want to say it's must win, because obviously they're right where they need to be and they're not really going to move that much. But I think from a psyche standpoint, it's as close to a must win as you can get. So they're in action this afternoon in LA versus the Clippers. But let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line, which seed do you think the Sixers are going to get? 5, 6, 7, or 8? Let us know. Give a shout out to the Clashing Conferences podcast. I was hanging out with some of those guys last night. Doing a great job over there. They have the basketball edition, so be sure to check them out on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, and be sure to give them a like and a subscribe. Look for this logo. It's Beats and Beards as the production that does it. So check out the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcast, as well as on YouTube. They had the season, the free agency wrap up with the football crew. They have the new basketball crew, so be sure to check them out, give them a listen, and let them know what you're thinking. All right, the Eagles signed quarterback Will Grier from the Cowboys, and I mean, I don't know. It may be competition for, I don't know. I doesn't move the needle either way. I think this is just one of those moves where they might stash him. Who knows? Lots of rumors that Justin Simmons still has not signed. And if this topic came up, and I kind of almost feel like it could be Howie gave him a number and said, go see if anybody can beat it. That's kind of like a Howie move. But it's kind of weird that he hasn't signed yet, so it's worth keeping an eye on Justin Simmons for some secondary help. But Howie, sign Smitty. I'm going to say it every day until that contract is extended. Sign Smitty. Do it. Do it, Howie. Sign him and Justin Simmons. Why not? All right, Union back in action after a week off. Won 3-2 out in Portland last night. They're off again now until next Saturday, where they'll take on Minnesota down at Subaru Park. Good to see things kind of die down for them, man. They had a rough sort of schedule to start the season. So Union 3-2, nice, or 3-2, and have a nice little week off before they get going. All right, I've been saying it, but like I was actually out last night and saw other people wearing Philly Goat stuff. Awesome to see. Of course, go up, start conversations with them. But go check it out for yourselves. See what everybody else seems to be seeing, and just look at their selection. My uncle was there, had one on too. He had the Wilt 100 points with the number. Just so many great shirts. Just go check them out. You will not be disappointed. They have you covered from head to toe. PhillyGoat.com. When you're checking out, use the promo code Jim Montgomery. Take 10% off of your order. Go to PhillyGoat.com. You will not be disappointed. Go do it before you go outside and enjoy this day. PhillyGoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. All right. So, magically, my March Madness bracket kind of, after a rough first day, I still lost one of my final teams in Kentucky, but miraculously, I'm back up in the top 10 now with a shot. I know there's a couple things here and there. A lot of people picked UConn, so it's going to come down to the other Final Four teams. So I really need Creighton to make a run to the Final Four, as well as UNC to kind of balance it out. So maybe I can finish in the money, but we're going to stick with our March Madness theme this week and go back to 1979. And on this day in 1979, the Penn Quakers took on the Michigan State Spartans in the Final Four. It was all Michigan State. Michigan State won 101-67. And yes, you heard that right. Michigan State played Penn in the Final Four. Just a rough overall day for the Penn Quakers. And some guy, what was his name? Magic Johnson had a triple-double for the Spartans in this game. He had 29 points, 10 assists, 10 rebounds. We all know that Magic would go on to have a pretty good pro career, beat the Sixers a couple times in the finals, but it just was all Magic that day, and they would go on to beat Indiana State and another guy that had a pretty good career in Magic Johnson that year. For Penn, They won the Ivy, went 25-7, 13-1 in the Ivy. Their only loss was to Columbia. They ended up finished 14th in the AP poll, had the number 9 seed in the tournament, and then beat number 8 Iona, beat number 1 UNC, number 4 Syracuse, and then number 10 St. John's to get to the Final Four. Ironically enough, a bonus Philly tie for that. The number 10 seed St. John's knocked out number 7 Temple in the first round of that tournament. Penn would go on to lose the third place game against DePaul a couple nights later. And like I said, I really like this idea of the third place game. And I don't know why. I don't know. I like this. You'll never be able to pass it today with all the stuff. But I just think it's kind of cool to kind of know where you did. So Penn finished technically 4th in the country in 1979 behind Michigan State, Indiana State, and DePaul. That was the last time an Ivy League team did make it to the Final Four. Only the third time ever. The 1944 Dartmouth team lost in the final in overtime. And then the 1965 Princeton Tigers took third place. So it's only happened 3 times in the history of the Ivy. It would take a miraculous run, I think, a super duper Cinderella story for a team to do it from the Ivy now. But Penn was a good team back then. It was their first deep tournament run. They went to the Sweet 16 the year before, and Penn and Princeton were always sort of, at least when I was growing up, were the 2 Ivy teams that always made the tournament. And Pete Carroll. I think it was Pete Carroll. Or Carell, whatever, the older guy from Princeton, and always did the backdoor pass and always was on upset alert. I remember they beat Georgetown, I think, one year, and he just runs around the court. So a lot of fun with some of the Ivy League teams. They were kings of the Big Five, but again, Magic Johnson just was lights out and just a tremendous college player, having a triple-double in the Final Four. But on this day, back in 1979, the Michigan State Spartans beat the Penn Quakers 101-67 in the national semifinal en route to their national championship over Indiana State and some kid named Larry Bird. All right, finally today's Philly sports history Women's History Month spotlight is Irene Guest, who is a swimmer from Philadelphia. She swam at the Meadowbrook Swim Club, and she is a pioneer. In the 1920 Olympics, she won 2 medals, a gold medal in the 4x100 freestyle, which the team set the world record, and then she took a silver medal in the 100-meter freestyle individual, losing to one of her teammates. Just a great team. She's inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame as an honor pioneer swimmer. She's in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, one of the first big-time swimmers to win a gold medal from this area. Irene Guest, Shout out to you, today's Philly Sports History, Women's History Month Spotlight of the Day. Swimming legend, two-time Olympic medalist at I believe they were in Belgium in 1920, but also set a world record, and all of the accolades she gets, she totally deserves. So shout out to you, Irene Guest, today's Philly Sports History, Women's History Spotlight of the Day. On this day, back in 1979, Michigan State beat Penn 101-67 in the national semifinal. It was the last time an Ivy League team made it to the Final Four, and the furthest an Ivy League team has made since then as well. Hard to believe, like I said, an Ivy team, but it was a different game back then, and it's definitely not like that today. Be sure to call or text the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what seed you think the Sixers are going to have in the playoffs, 5, 6, 7, or 8. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Jimbo_Mont. Hit me up on Instagram at PhillyJimbo. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Let's grow this thing. Check out our boys over at the Clashing Conferences. Check out Philly GOAT. I'm telling you, will not be disappointed. Let's go Sixers. Let's go Flyers. More importantly, though, let's go my bracket. All right. Hopefully it does not get busted even more today. But go enjoy this beautiful day. My name is Jim Montgomery. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.